Hello friends, today I will be doing kind of a mini review of Making Nice by Summell. I figured that when I have a book that I have a few feelings on, but probably not enough for a full-blown discussion video, that I would do this kind of thing, which I'm doing right now, and I'm calling it Two Pros and a Con. Making Nice is the disjointed story of Albie following the death of his mother. As I was looking up information to make this video, I actually saw that it was being promoted as a collection of short stories. Maybe it's a little dense of me that I didn't pick up on that right away, but in the past when I've read other collections of short stories, they seem more separated with a running theme of some sort. This felt more like a novel told out of order than a collection of short stories, if that makes sense. We get a stream of consciousness narrative from Albie, and we see him acting out, acting up, getting drunk, picking fights, all with a huge center of grief that he carries. My first positive is that this story tackles loss and the ensuing family dynamics, and in this case it's kind of a broken family dynamic, in a very, very interesting way. There were moments when it was so raw and open and relatable that it made me ache at times. There is a moment in grief, I think, where we all feel like, I will never get over this thing, this is impossible, this will be the one that does me in, until we reach the point where we see the light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing, where we realize that we do have the capacity to deal with whatever situation it is. So this story is the telling of a grief, or the handling of grief from someone who does not have the capacity to get over it, or to deal with the social cues, or the entire experience of grief and mourning. My second pro is that I enjoyed the stream of conscious narration. This might be a thing that could bother other readers, but Summell does it very well. It gives the entire story a fluidity that makes it easy to read and easier to get through despite the subject matter and moments of crassness. Summell's style isn't really in your face, but there were a few moments that struck me as particularly beautiful, and they were only enhanced because of this stream of consciousness and simplicity in writing that he offers. And tying that up with my first pro, where we're dealing with grief and we're dealing with this main character who really doesn't have the capacity to deal with his grief, what it combines to make is something that's really impacting when you hear Albie come to these conclusions about grief. So it's those moments where he's finally trying to deal with and put into words what he's lost that are particularly well done to me. So now my one negative, my one con: Albie is an unlikable character. A lot of the story hinges on this, on his maladjusted way of dealing with life. The issue of whether or not you will enjoy this collection of stories is whether or not you can get over Albie's unlikableness. If you check out the reviews on Goodreads, you'll see that a lot of people are split on this point, and most of the negative reviews cite Albie's lack of appeal as a main character and narrator. For me, it came down to, and I believe that for most readers, it'll come down to the pros directly lined up against the con in this situation. I know that this would be the point where I tell you what I've decided, but I don't know that I've decided yet. I'm still kind of processing and internalizing what I read. I rated this 3 stars for that reason, because I can't really decide if the badness of Albie's character is more in service to the narration or if it's a hindrance. The way that Albie addresses women and the way that he treats women is really a sore spot. There's even a scene where Albie's with a woman and he is trying to have sex with her, and she is hesitant, reluctant, and she tells him no, and he says he keeps trying to slip it in. When I say that he's an unlikable character, he also does pretty bad things, and he treats people in not a nice way. Again, it feeds into the greater narrative of this guy who is, like I said, maladjusted, who has probably emotional issues that he needs to deal with, even tracking back to before his mother died, now dealing with a loss that is devastating for most people in the best of circumstances. It just made me feel icky though. One of my pros was almost that it was only 200 pages or so, and I know that, you know, length of book shouldn't necessarily be a pro, but I was coming off of a reading slump and I purposely picked up something that was nice and short so that I could speed through it and pick up my habit and pace of reading again, so this served very nicely for that purpose. If you're interested, I think it would be something to kind of pick up and just see for yourself. So there you go, that was my first 2 pros and a con. And again, that was Making Nice by Summell, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon.